Nneka's screams echoed through their Lagos apartment as boiling water cascaded down her pregnant belly. Her husband Obinna stood holding the empty kettle, his mistress Chidinma watching from the bedroom doorway with a satisfied smile. 7 months pregnant with twins, Nneka collapsed as her skin blistered and peeled. What would you do if the father of your unborn children did this? Hit like if betrayal shocks you, and comment where you're watching from. Obinna was 39, a successful import-export businessman in Lekki. Nneka was 32, a pharmacist who'd left her career to support his business dreams. They'd been married 6 years, and this pregnancy had been their miracle after 3 miscarriages. But Chidinma, his 25-year-old secretary, had planted poison in his mind for months. "If you really loved me, you'd leave her," Chidinma had said repeatedly. "A real man doesn't let his wife trap him with babies. Prove you choose me." And today, after Nneka found hotel receipts and confronted him, Obinna had snapped. The kettle had been boiling for tea. Chidinma's voice in his ear said, "Show her who's in control." Now Nneka lay on the floor, skin raw and burning, begging for help. But Obinna grabbed his car keys instead. "Clean yourself up. This is your fault for disrespecting me." He left with Chidinma, their laughter fading down the hallway. Nneka dragged herself to her phone with shaking hands. Dialing her sister, 30 minutes later, Ngozi burst through the door with paramedics. Nneka was rushed to Reddington Hospital, second-degree burns covering her stomach, chest, and arms. As doctors worked to save her and the babies, Ngozi called the police. This wasn't just domestic violence. This was attempted murder of a pregnant woman and her unborn children. The burns were severe, but the twins survived, their heartbeats strong on the monitor. Nneka lay sedated in the ICU, bandaged like a mummy, while Ngozi sat beside her plotting revenge. Their mother had died young from an abusive marriage, and Ngozi had sworn no man would destroy her sister. She called her husband, a senior police officer, and within hours, a manhunt for Obinna began. He'd gone to Chidinma's apartment in Aja, celebrating his freedom with champagne. They took selfies, posted on social media about finally being happy, completely unaware that Nneka's burns were documented, that hospital staff had called authorities, that their posts were being screenshot as evidence of consciousness of guilt and lack of remorse. When Nneka woke 2 days later, her first words were about her babies. "They're alive," Ngozi assured her, crying, "strong like their mother." But NNE, you need to see what Obinna posted online. She showed her sister the photos, Obinna and Chidinma kissing, captioned "New beginnings. No more chains." The rage that filled Nneka was hotter than the water that had scarred her. She asked for a mirror despite Ngozi's protests. The woman staring back was unrecognizable, face partially burned, neck and chest covered in angry red wounds. Her stomach, where her babies grew, was wrapped in specialized bandages. She'd been beautiful once. Now she looked like a survivor of war. "I want him arrested," Nneka said, her voice cold as ice. "I want him charged with attempted murder, assault, endangering unborn children, everything possible. And I want that woman charged as an accessory." She was there. She watched. She smiled. Ngozi nodded, already ahead of her. The wheels of justice were turning, and Obinna had no idea what was coming. The police found Obinna and Chidinma 3 days later at a hotel in Ikoyi. He resisted arrest, shouting about his rights, about Nneka being dramatic, about how he'd just disciplined his wife. The arresting officers, disgusted by his attitude, made sure the media got wind of the story. By evening, Obinna's face was on every news channel. Businessman pours boiling water on pregnant wife. His business partners called immediately, distancing themselves. His family WhatsApp group exploded with shame and anger. His mother, a respected deaconess, collapsed at church when someone showed her the news. But what broke him most was his assets being frozen pending investigation. His accounts, his cars, his properties, all inaccessible until trial. Chidinma, realizing she'd backed the wrong man, tried to claim ignorance. "I didn't know he'd hurt her. I was just in the bedroom." But Ngozi's husband had secured CCTV footage from the apartment building showing Chidinma handing Obinna the kettle, whispering in his ear, smiling as he walked toward Nneka. She was complicit, and prosecutors were charging her accordingly. Nneka was released from ICU after a week, moving into Ngozi's house with round-the-clock care. Her burns required daily dressing changes, skin grafts were scheduled, and she wore compression garments to prevent scarring. The pain was constant, excruciating, but she refused strong painkillers that might harm her twins. Every moment of agony fueled her determination. The preliminary hearing was set for 2 weeks away. Obinna's lawyer, a sharp man named Barrister Ease, was already spinning a defense of temporary insanity and provocation. But what he didn't know was that Nneka had been recording Obinna's abuse for months, had documentation of his affair, and had witnesses to his threats. This case was about to become a landmark in Nigerian domestic violence prosecution. Nneka's first public appearance since the attack was at the courthouse. News crews lined the steps as Ngozi wheeled her sister in. Nneka's burns still visible despite long sleeves and a scarf. Her pregnant belly had grown, the twins thriving despite their mother's trauma. Obinna's face when he saw her was priceless, shock mixed with something like fear. Inside, Barrister Ease tried to paint Nneka as a controlling, jealous wife who'd driven Obinna to desperation. My client admits he lost his temper, but this was after years of emotional abuse from a woman who used pregnancy to trap him. The prosecutor, a fierce woman named Mrs. Okafor, destroyed that narrative in minutes with Nneka's recordings. The court heard Obinna's voice on tape. "I should have left you years ago. You're nothing without me. If you ever leave, I'll make sure you regret it." Then Chidinma's voice, "She doesn't deserve you, baby. A real woman wouldn't hold you back." Then the sound of water boiling, Chidinma saying, "This will teach her," and Nneka's screams as the water hit. The courtroom went silent. Even Obinna's own lawyer looked sick. The judge, Justice Adeyemi, was a woman known for harsh sentences in domestic violence cases. "Mr. Obinna, you will remain in custody pending trial. No bail. Miss Chidinma, you are also remanded. This is attempted murder and conspiracy." Court adjourned. The gavel struck like thunder. Outside, journalists swarmed Nneka. "What do you want to happen to your husband?" one asked. Nneka's answer was calm and clear. "I want justice for every woman who's been told to endure abuse for marriage. I want him to know that trying to destroy me only made me stronger. And I want my daughters to grow up knowing their mother." 2 months later, Nneka gave birth to twin girls via emergency C-section at 34 weeks. Zara and Amara, tiny but healthy, with their mother's fighting spirit. Ngozi was in the delivery room, crying as she cut the cords. Obinna, still in prison awaiting trial, sent a message through his lawyer requesting to see the babies. Nneka's response was one word: never. The birth made headlines again, public sympathy overwhelming. A GoFundMe for Nneka's medical bills raised 5 million naira in 3 days. Strangers sent baby gifts, skin treatment recommendations, and messages of support. Nneka became a symbol of survival, her scarred face and body testament to what she'd endured. Fashion designer Diola Sego even featured her in a campaign about resilience. But Obinna's family was waging a different campaign. His mother and sisters showed up at Ngozi's house, demanding access to the babies. "Those are our blood. You can't keep our grandchildren from us." Ngozi stood firm at the gate. "Your son tried to murder their mother. Until he's convicted and she decides otherwise, stay away or I'll call police." The trial date was set for 1 month away. Nneka spent that time healing physically while preparing mentally. Her lawyer, Mrs. Okafor, had built an unshakable case: medical records, recordings, CCTV, witness statements, social media posts, everything. Obinna's only hope was convincing a jury that somehow, Nneka deserved what happened. It wouldn't work. The night before trial, Nneka sat with her sleeping daughters and made a vow. "Your father tried to kill us. But we survived. We're here, we're strong, and we're going to make sure he never hurts anyone again. This is for every woman who couldn't fight back. This is for your grandmother who died silent. This is for all of us." If you're hooked on Nneka's story, subscribe and hit the bell. What should happen to Obinna and Chidinma? Comment below. The trial began with a packed courtroom and media frenzy outside. Nneka entered wearing a traditional wrapper and blouse that couldn't hide her scars but made her look regal. Obinna sat in the defendant's box avoiding eye contact. Chidinma, in a separate box, looked terrified. Justice Adeyemi's stern face promised no mercy for guilty parties. Mrs. Okafor opened with photos of Nneka's burns projected on screens. Gasps filled the courtroom. This is what happens when a man values his mistress over his pregnant wife's life. The defense will claim provocation. But no words justify pouring boiling water on a woman carrying twins. This is attempted murder, plain and simple. Barrister Ease tried damage control. My client deeply regrets his actions. He was under extreme stress from business and marriage problems. He never intended permanent harm. But when the prosecution played the audio recording of Chidinma encouraging the attack, even that excuse crumbled. The jury's faces hardened with each scream on the tape. The medical examiner testified about Nneka's injuries. Second and third degree burns over 30% of her body. The babies could have died from maternal shock. She'll need surgeries for years. The psychological trauma is immeasurable. Obinna's mother sobbed in the gallery, but Nneka sat stone-faced, holding her sister's hand. As court adjourned for the day, Obinna's lawyer approached Mrs. Okafor. My client wants to plead guilty in exchange for reduced sentencing. 20 years instead of life. Mrs. Okafor looked at Nneka, who shook her head firmly. No deals. Let the jury decide. We're not negotiating with monsters. Day 2 brought Nneka to the witness stand. She walked slowly, her compression garments visible under her clothes, her scars a testimony of survival. Mrs. Okafor asked her to describe the attack. Nneka's voice was steady despite tears. I confronted him about hotel receipts. Chidinma was there. She'd been staying in our home while I worked night shifts at the pharmacy to support his business. He said I was nothing, that I'd trapped him with pregnancy. Chidinma handed him the kettle. I saw her whisper something. Then he walked toward me, and I knew. I tried to protect my stomach, but the water hit everywhere. I remember thinking my babies were dying, that this was how my marriage ended. Drowning in pain my husband caused, the jury was crying. Even the judge wiped her eyes. But the defense's cross-examination was brutal. Mrs. Obinna, isn't it true you threatened to leave and take everything? That you provoked him with accusations and insults? Nneka's answer was ice. I asked my husband why he was cheating. That's not provocation for attempted murder. If asking questions deserves boiling water, then every wife in Nigeria should be terrified. Chidinma's testimony was next. She claimed innocence, saying she'd only handed him the kettle for tea, that she didn't know what he'd do. But when shown CCTV footage of her smiling after the attack, of her posting celebration photos later, her credibility shattered. The prosecutor asked simply, if you were innocent, why were you smiling? Why celebrate if you'd just witnessed attempted murder? By day's end, both defendants looked defeated. The evidence was overwhelming, the testimony damning. As Nneka left the courthouse, a young woman approached crying. My husband burned me too. Seeing you fight gives me courage to report him. Thank you. Nneka hugged her, whispering, report him. You deserve justice too. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Nneka sat in the witness waiting room with Ngozi and her twins, nursing them while waiting for justice. When the bailiff called them back, her hands shook but her spine was steel. This was the moment everything had led to, months of pain and preparation culminating in 12 strangers' decision about her life's value. The foreman stood, a middle-aged woman who'd cried during testimony. In the case of attempted murder, we find Obinna Okonkwo guilty. In the case of assault causing grievous bodily harm, guilty. In the case of conspiracy, we find Chidinma Ease guilty. Obinna's legs buckled. His lawyer caught him. Chidinma screamed that it wasn't fair, that she'd been manipulated too. Justice Adeyemi silenced the courtroom. Sentencing will be in 1 week. But let me be clear, Mr. Okonkwo and Miss Ease, you conspired to destroy a pregnant woman because of selfish desires. You showed no remorse, only entitlement. When I sentence you, I will consider not just your victim, but every woman watching who needs to know that violence has consequences. Outside, The media celebrated Nneka's victory. But she felt numb, not triumphant. Guilty verdicts didn't undo her scars or give her daughters their father back. They didn't erase the nightmares or make her trust again. They were just the beginning of a different kind of healing, one that involved accepting that justice and wholeness weren't the same thing. That evening, Obinna's mother came to Ngozi's house alone. "I'm sorry," she said simply. "I raised him wrong. I taught him that women should endure anything for marriage. I'm the reason he thought this was acceptable. Please let me know my granddaughters. Let me try to be better than I taught him to be." Nneka considered, then nodded slowly. Sentencing day arrived with tension thick enough to cut. Nneka had prepared a victim impact statement, words she'd written and rewritten 100 times. Standing before the court, she spoke directly to Obinna for the first time since that horrible day. "You didn't just burn my skin. You burned my trust, my peace, my ability to feel safe. You turned love into a weapon, but you didn't break me. My daughters will grow up knowing their mother survived, fought back, and won. They'll never accept abuse as love because they'll see what real strength looks like. You took my beauty but gave me purpose. Every scar is a reminder that I'm a survivor, not a victim. And I hope in prison, you learn that women aren't property to discard when convenient." Justice Adeyemi nodded, then read the sentence. "Obinna Okonkwo, you are sentenced to 35 years in prison with no possibility of parole for 20 years. Chidinma Ease, you are sentenced to 15 years for conspiracy and accessory to attempted murder. You will also pay full restitution for medical bills and ongoing care for Mrs. Okonkwo." The gavel struck, final and absolute. Obinna's family wailed, but Nneka felt nothing but relief. It was over. The man who'd tried to destroy her would spend decades behind bars. Chidinma was led away crying about her ruined life, still not understanding that Nneka's life had been ruined first. Outside, women's rights activists cheered, calling this a landmark victory for domestic violence prosecution in Nigeria. That night, Nneka looked at her sleeping daughters and whispered, "Your father tried to kill us. But we're here, and he's gone. We're going to build a beautiful life from these ashes. Watch me." For the first time since the attack, she smiled genuinely, feeling the first stirrings of actual hope instead of just survival. 6 months after the trial, Nneka had undergone 3 skin graft surgeries and started a foundation called Phoenix Rising for domestic violence survivors. Her story had inspired thousands of women to leave abusive marriages or report their abusers. She'd become an advocate, speaking at churches, community centers, and even the National Assembly about strengthening domestic violence laws. Her daughters were thriving. Beautiful 6-month-old babies who knew nothing of their father except that he was gone and that was safer. Obinna's mother visited weekly, a changed woman who'd left her churches submit to your husband's teachings and now counseled abused wives to leave. "My son destroyed lives," she'd say. "Don't let yours do the same. Leave before it's too late." Nneka had gone back to work part-time at a new pharmacy, her scars visible but no longer hidden. Customers would stare, but when they learned her story, many shared their own tales of abuse survived or family members lost. She'd become a symbol of what fighting back looked like, proof that survival was possible even when everything seemed destroyed. One afternoon, she received a letter from Chidinma in prison. Pages of apologies, explanations about low self-esteem and believing Obinna's lies about Nneka being awful. "I see now that I helped him destroy you because I was already destroyed inside. I'm sorry. I was wrong. You didn't deserve any of it." Nneka read it once, then filed it away. Some apologies couldn't undo damage, but she wrote back anyway, one paragraph, "I forgive you because holding hatred burns me worse than the water did. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It means I'm choosing peace over poison. I hope you find healing too, but far away from me and mine." She sealed it, sent it, and felt lighter than she had in months. A year after the attack, Nneka's scars had faded to silvery lines that told her story without shame. She'd been featured in magazines, given a TEDx talk in Lagos, and her foundation had helped over 200 women escape violent marriages. But the biggest change was internal. She'd learned to sleep without nightmares, to let people close without fear, to trust her own strength completely. Her twins were walking now, saying mama and filling Ngozi's house with laughter. Nneka had saved enough from donations and her pharmacy job to rent her own place, a modest flat in Acacia with safety locks on every door and a supportive community. Starting over at 33 felt like being reborn. Scary but exhilarating, Obinna's business had completely collapsed, his assets sold to pay Nneka's restitution. Every month, money was deposited into her account from the liquidation of everything he'd valued more than her. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The man who'd tried to destroy her for his mistress had instead funded her new life and her mission to save others. Then one morning, Nneka received a call from the prison. Obinna wanted to see her, claimed he had something important to say. Her first instinct was refusal, but curiosity won. She agreed to a supervised video call, wanting to see what 20 months in prison had done to the man who'd burned her alive. His face on the screen was gaunt, aged beyond his years. Nneka, I'm dying. Liver cancer, stage 4. I have maybe 6 months. I'm not asking forgiveness because I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that every day in here, I see your face screaming. I'll die hearing those screams. That's my punishment. The screen went black. Nneka told no one about Obinna's cancer except Ngozi, who responded with cold satisfaction. Good. Let him suffer like you did. But Nneka felt something unexpected, not quite pity but not satisfaction either. Death was coming for him naturally, taking away her ability to feel he'd truly paid. 20 years in prison cut to months by disease felt like he was escaping again. She threw herself deeper into foundation work, helping women file restraining orders, connecting them with lawyers, providing temporary housing. One case particularly struck her, a woman named Adiz whose husband had thrown acid on her face. Seeing Adiz's destroyed features and broken spirit, Nneka recognized herself a year ago. She became Adiz's mentor, showing her that life continued after disfigurement. The Phoenix Rising Foundation grew beyond Nneka's expectations. Corporate sponsors came forward, celebrities endorsed it, and government officials started consulting her on domestic violence policy. She'd transformed her trauma into a movement, her scars into credentials that gave her authority no degree could match. Women trusted her because she'd survived what they feared. Meanwhile, Chidinma was adjusting to prison life poorly. She'd been attacked twice by inmates who despised women who enabled violence against other women. She sent another letter begging Nneka to speak at her parole hearing in 3 years. Please tell them I've changed. You're the only one whose word matters. Nneka filed this letter with the first, unanswered. 3 months after the cancer call, prison officials contacted Nneka again. Obinna was in the prison hospital, dying faster than predicted. He was asking to see his daughters one time before death. Nneka's answer was immediate and final. He gave up the right to be their father when he chose to kill their mother. Tell him no. Obinna died 2 weeks later, alone in a prison hospital bed. The news barely made headlines, a footnote compared to the sensation his trial had been. His family wanted a proper burial, but with his assets liquidated, they couldn't afford it. Nneka was his legal next of kin, and they begged her to release funds for funeral expenses. Her refusal was public and unapologetic. He tried to murder me and our unborn children. He can have a pauper's burial. I won't spend 1 naira of my daughter's money on the man who tried to orphan them. The statement went viral, some calling her heartless, most applauding her strength. Obinna was buried in a public cemetery with only his mother and sisters attending. No wake, no celebration of life, just a quiet ending to a violent man. Nneka didn't attend, didn't mourn, didn't feel closure. She felt nothing, and that was fine. Some chapters closed without ceremony. She was too busy living, loving her daughters, building her foundation, and healing women who'd walked her same painful road. Obinna's death changed nothing about her mission or her life. He'd become irrelevant long before his last breath. The foundation's 2nd anniversary gala was a major event. Nneka wore a custom gown by Diola Sego that elegantly showcased rather than hid her scars. These marks are my medals, she told the audience of donors and survivors. They prove I fought and won. Never hide your survival. Wear it proudly. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes, tears flowing freely throughout the ballroom. That night, after the gala, Nneka stood on her balcony watching Lagos's lights. 2 years ago, she'd been on a hospital bed, burned and broken. Now she was whole in ways that had nothing to do with scarred skin. She'd built a life Obinna couldn't destroy because it was founded on something he'd never understood: her own unbreakable strength. Are you inspired by Nneka's journey? Hit subscribe and share this story. What lesson touched you most? Comment below. Chidinma's parole hearing came 3 years into her sentence. She'd served her time quietly, taken counseling, and supposedly found religion. Her lawyer contacted Nneka again, begging for a statement supporting early release. She's changed. She's remorseful. She was young and foolish. Don't you believe in second chances? Nneka's response was measured but firm. I believe in consequences. She didn't just make a mistake, she actively participated in attempting to murder me. Being young doesn't excuse watching someone burn and smiling about it. She can serve her full sentence. That's my statement. The parole board denied Chidinma's request, citing Nneka's opposition and lack of true accountability from the prisoner. Meanwhile, Zara and Amara were growing into bright, curious 4-year-olds who asked questions about their father. Nneka answered honestly but age-appropriately. Your daddy made very bad choices that hurt people. He's gone now, but you have Auntie Ngozi, Grandma Obi, and me. We're your family, and we love you completely. They seemed satisfied, too young to understand the full horror. Nneka had started dating again, cautiously. A kind pediatrician named Dr. Nneka, who treated her daughters, had asked her out for months before she agreed. Their relationship was slow, built on friendship and transparency. He knew her story, had seen her scars, and valued her strength. It felt different from Obinna's possessive obsession. Gentler but more genuine. One evening, as Nneka played with the twins, Nneka watched from the doorway and felt something she'd thought was dead. Hope for romantic love that didn't destroy. Maybe not with him, maybe not soon, but someday. The realization made her smile. Obinna had tried to kill her capacity for joy. Instead, he'd only made her more selective about who deserved access to it. 5 years after the attack, Nneka's foundation expanded to 3 other Nigerian cities and was planning Ghana and Kenya branches. She'd helped over 1,000 women escape violence, testified before international human rights organizations, and been nominated for a Peace Prize. Her life had become bigger than the man who'd tried to end it, her impact reaching further than his violence ever could. The scars remained but bothered her less. She'd had corrective surgeries, used specialized creams, and accepted that some marks were permanent. They were part of her story now, visible reminders that she'd survived hell and built heaven from the ashes. When survivors saw her scars and heard her story, they found courage to leave their own dangerous situations. Zara and Amara were in kindergarten, thriving and loved. They knew their father had died but understood him only as a cautionary tale, someone who'd made terrible choices. Nneka had protected them from trauma while teaching them strength. They were growing up fierce, kind, and unafraid, exactly what she'd hoped for when she'd survived for them. Obinna's mother, now called Grandma Obi by the twins, had become one of Phoenix Rising's biggest advocates. She spoke at churches about enabling abuse through misguided submission teachings. I taught my son that women were beneath men, that wives should endure anything. I created a monster. Don't make my mistake. Teach your sons that women are equal, that violence is never acceptable. One afternoon, Nneka received a letter from Chidinma's lawyer. Chidinma had died in prison of pneumonia, still 8 years from release. The lawyer included a note Chidinma had written before her death. I'm sorry I hurt you. I'm sorrier I never truly understood why it was so wrong. I hope my death brings you some peace. Nneka read it, felt nothing, and filed it away with the others. 7 years post-attack, Nneka married Dr. Nneka in a small ceremony surrounded by survivors from her foundation. The twins, now 6, were flower girls in matching dresses. Ngozi cried through the entire wedding, grateful her sister had found real love after such horror. Nneka's vows included promising to protect not just Nneka but her mission, to support survivors alongside her. The wedding photos went viral, not because of celebrity but because Nneka wore a dress that showed her scars beautifully. "I'm not hiding anymore," she told reporters. "These scars are part of my story. And my story includes finding love again after violence. If that gives even one woman hope that life continues after abuse, then sharing it was worth it." Phoenix Rising Foundation had become an official NGO with government funding and international partnerships. They'd opened shelters in 5 countries, trained hundreds of counselors, and successfully lobbied for stricter domestic violence laws across West Africa. Nneka's testimony before Parliament had led to mandatory arrest policies and longer sentences for abusers. Zara and Amara were excelling in school, smart and compassionate children who volunteered at the foundation during school breaks. They helped sort donations, played with younger kids in the shelter, and absorbed their mother's mission unconsciously. Nneka watched them grow with pride, knowing they'd never accept abuse as normal because they'd seen their mother refuse to accept it. One evening, a journalist asked Nneka if she'd forgiven Obinna. Her answer had evolved over the years. "Forgiveness is complicated. I forgave him to free myself from hatred's poison, but that doesn't mean what he did was acceptable. It means I refuse to let his violence continue controlling my life. He's dead. I'm thriving. That's the best revenge." 8 years later, Nneka was invited to speak at the United Nations about domestic violence in Africa. Standing before diplomats from around the world, she shared her story without shame. "I survived attempted murder by my husband while pregnant with twins. Today, those daughters are healthy. I'm remarried to a good man, and I run Africa's largest domestic violence foundation." Violence doesn't have to be your ending. The speech sparked international coverage. News outlets from CNN to BBC featured her story. Her book, Burned But Not Broken, became an international bestseller, with proceeds funding the foundation. Women from dozens of countries reached out sharing their own survival stories, creating a global network of support that transcended borders and cultures. Back in Nigeria, the twins were now 8, the exact age Thandai had been in Amara's story, but their lives were completely different. They knew safety, knew love without violence, knew their mother's strength. When classmates asked about Nneka's scars, Zara would say proudly, "Our mama survived and saved thousands of other women. She's a hero." Nneka had adopted the twins officially, giving them a father who actually deserved the title. He attended their school plays, helped with homework, showed them what healthy masculinity looked like. Nneka watched him parent with gratitude, knowing her daughters would choose better partners because they'd seen what good men actually were. One quiet Sunday, while the family relaxed at home, Zara asked a question Nneka had been preparing for. "Mama, do you wish the bad things never happened? Would you want to go back and change it?" Nneka considered carefully before answering, knowing this moment mattered. "No, baby," Nneka said gently. "What happened was terrible and wrong. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't have started the foundation. Thousands of women wouldn't have gotten help. You too might have grown up with violence seeming normal. Sometimes God uses our worst pain for our greatest purpose. I'm not grateful for the attack, but I'm grateful for who I became because of surviving it." The twins seemed to understand, nodding seriously. Amara, always more thoughtful, asked, "Will we help hurt women when we grow up too?" Nneka hugged them both. "You'll do whatever makes your heart happy. But you'll always know that women deserve respect and safety. That's the most important lesson. Whether you become doctors or teachers or anything else, you'll be women who never accept abuse. That's my real victory." That evening, after the girls were asleep, Nneka found Nneka on their balcony staring at the stars. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. She smiled, leaning into his embrace. "How I almost didn't survive. How close I came to letting Obinna win by giving up. How grateful I am that I chose to fight, to live, to build something bigger than his violence. You know what bothers me most," she continued. "How many women don't survive? How many are killed by partners and never get justice, never get to rebuild? That's why the work matters. Every woman we save is one less funeral. One less orphan child, one less family destroyed by preventable violence. The Foundation's 10th anniversary gala was coming up, and Nneka had planned something special. She'd tracked down the paramedic who'd saved her life, the police officer who'd built the case, the judge who'd sentenced Obinna, and the first woman she'd ever helped escape. They'd all be honored at the gala. Heroes, she called them. The chain of survival that kept. The 10th anniversary gala was Phoenix Rising's biggest event yet. Over 500 people attended, including government ministers, celebrities, and hundreds of survivors. Nneka wore gold, her scars visible and beautiful in the ballroom lights. When she took the stage, the applause was thunderous and long. 10 years ago, my husband tried to kill me with boiling water because I dared question his infidelity. I was 7 months pregnant with twins. I shouldn't have survived. But I did, and I decided that my survival had to mean something. Phoenix Rising has now helped 5,000 women escape violence. 5,000 women who are alive, thriving, and breaking cycles of abuse. She called up the heroes one by one. The paramedic who'd stabilized her. The officer who'd arrested Obinna. The judge who'd sentenced him. The first survivor she'd helped, now running her own support group. Each received a Phoenix Award, a crystal sculpture of a bird rising from flames. The room was full of tears and hope mixed together. Then Nneka made an announcement that shocked everyone. I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations to focus on international advocacy. My sister Ngozi will become executive director. After 10 years of building this foundation, I need to trust that it's strong enough to fly without me. Phoenix Rising was never about me. It's about every woman who refuses to let violence define her. The crowd stood, applauding the woman who'd turned her worst nightmare into a movement that saved lives. As Nneka looked out at faces of survivors she'd helped, she felt complete. She'd taken Obinna's attempt to destroy her and transformed it into a legacy of protection. He'd wanted to erase her. Instead, she'd become unforgettable. 12 years after the attack, Nneka stood at a mirror preparing for a documentary interview about her life. The scars were still there, lighter but permanent. She traced them gently, remembering the pain but no longer defined by it. The woman in the mirror was 44, confident, successful, loved. The girl who'd married Obinna at 26 wouldn't recognize her. The twins, now 10, were becoming activists themselves. They'd started a school club teaching healthy relationships and warning signs of abuse. Zara wanted to be a lawyer for domestic violence cases. Amara wanted to be a doctor helping burn survivors. Both wanted to continue their mother's work in their own ways. Nneka's legacy was secured not just in the foundation but in the daughters who'd learned strength from survival. During the documentary, the interviewer asked the question everyone always asked. Do you have any message for women currently in abusive situations? Nneka looked directly at the camera, speaking to invisible women she'd never meet but desperately wanted to reach. Leave. I know it's complicated. I know you're scared. I know people tell you to pray more, try harder, be more submissive. But love doesn't burn you. Love doesn't hurt you. Real love protects and cherishes. If he's hitting you, burning you, controlling you, that's not love. That's violence. And you deserve better. Leave before it's too late. Your life has value beyond being someone's wife. Survive first. Heal later. But survive. The camera stopped rolling and Nneka smiled, satisfied. She'd said what needed saying. That evening, she received a message from a stranger. I just watched your interview. I'm packing my bags right now. You saved my life without knowing me. Thank you. Nneka cried, knowing that her pain had just prevented someone else's. Obinna had tried to destroy her. Instead, he'd created a warrior who saved thousands. She'd won in every way that mattered, living fully, loving deeply, and transforming trauma into triumph. Her story wasn't about the man who burned her. It was about the woman who rose from those flames and lit the way for others. Thank you for following Nneka's complete journey from victim to victor. What lesson will you carry from this story? Comment below and share with someone who needs hope. Subscribe for more powerful stories of resilience. Remember, you are not what happened to you. You are how you choose to rise. Don't forget to like and turn on notifications.